Hi everyone, this is the Psychic Sleuth, and I'm sorry I've been gone so long. I've been working cases that I wasn't sure I was actually going to release and all of that, but just to remind you, this is going to be on Eryka Dayton. I hope I'm saying that right. I did get El Paso way back in March. It came through randomly a couple times. It was in that song by Marty Robbins, El Paso, and then I got it back July 7th. Now I'm thinking that the El Paso may be for Eryka as well as the shootings. Now the reason why I say this is because they kind of happened around the same time. July was Eryka, and then August was the shootings. August came in a couple times in Brittany's and in Jen's, and so I'm noticing also that stuff that came in Jen's second reading, Jen Dulos, and Brittany's reading match Eryka. So it has to do with the time frame, I believe. And those readings mentioned August. Now, as you guys know, things will come in as far as the same time frame goes. So I'm thinking that might be one reason that I got El Paso. But also, now this is why I say you need to join the group, because I can't always jump on and do videos every time I get a random vision. It's just too hard. I'll have like a million videos and they'll be like 5 seconds, you know what I mean? So I try to keep track of them in the group. So if you're not part of the group, please join the group. In the files, back September 15th, 2018, I got a vision of the tornadoes, which ended up happening in Ohio a few months ago. So I think it has to do with the timing again. And along with that, I got Texas, and also a vision of people with AK-47s and shooting, and I thought that there was going to be a terrorist attack. So I do believe that it kind of came in for both, the El Paso thing, because the timing of it all. So, and if you guys, don't believe me, you can go look. I did that a long time. I got that a long time ago, and I do have to say right now that my condolences do go out to the shooting victims and their families and their friends. And it's just very awful that even happened. And I have my own thoughts on that. I might do a random auto-write and find out. If you guys go back to the random auto-writes, you can see a lot of the stuff that I've said has happened, whether it be a day later, 2 days later, whatever. During working on this case, I got a pipeline. The word pipeline, I dreamed of it, and I woke it up, and I typed it in my group. I was like, I got the word pipeline, and I saw this explosion. And it turns out, like 2 days later, there was an explosion in a pipeline in Kentucky. And so I think that's what that was for. But I also posted screenshots of that in the group. So I try to always keep you guys updated because, a lot of things, I don't know why I get those things. I don't know if it's just warning or validation or what. So, anyways, again, that's the Psychic Sleuth group on Facebook. So, like I was saying, also in Jen's second reading, we got a validation for the fire in the farm. There were 2 guys that went missing, I believe in Missouri. I was asked to work on it. They were found like the day after I was asked, so I didn't get a chance. But they were found buried on a farm, and fire was on top of it. So I think that's where that came in, and that came in Jen's. So, also, I've done 3 readings so far on Eryka. I think that some of hers might be Susan. I think they're coming in each reading, only because Susan, I think her son came in this one. I've actually been getting Charles and Charlie for a long time now, and I didn't realize at the time until someone told me that was one of the kids' names. So I'm thinking I might actually try to connect to him and see if I can find her, because I feel like the husband is blocking, which I did a reading on her last night, and I am going to try to post that as soon as possible. But I think that some of her is in Eryka's, and some of Eryka's is in hers, possibly. Because as we know, my cases interconnect, for those of you that watch me, and as I try to just make it one spirit, it never works that way as much as I would like to. We're trying to get the hang of how this works and how I work differently than anybody else. Why it's that way, I don't know. So not everything in Eryka's reading is going to fit her. Not everything in anybody reading is going to fit them. It's past, present, and future. And like I said, there's sometimes I get more than one case that they interconnect. So not everything that I say here is going to fit Eryka. So the first reading I did July 17th. And like I was saying about the whole El Paso song and yada, 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 I think the first thing I heard when doing this reading was Hammond, and that is Brittany's last name, so I was like, maybe I'm supposed to go look at Brittany Hammond's reading, which it ends up that the Mexican part in there and a couple other things, the red, does fit here. So that could be why. It could also be something else with the name. Things do have multiple meanings. So it could be why. And she came in that reading before she ever went missing. I believe I got her in Brittany's and maybe even Jen's. No, Jen's was second, so she was already passed. She came in newly passed in that one. But Brittany's, she wasn't passed yet. And I think she might have came in a few other ones prior to. Mackenzie is going to interconnect here as well, so I would look at Mackenzie's reading. Because Ruby came in. I'll talk about that later. So, she first came to me when I was doing a reading for one of my clients, and she was like waving her arms and stuff, and I almost told my client, hey, is your friend murdered? And thank God I didn't, because that wasn't accurate, but it was actually Eryka, and it was a good thing I stopped and kind of relaxed and was like, hey, you're going to have to wait a minute. I'll get to you in just a second. So the first part of the reading is she gets a text. She's going out with this guy, talking to him, like, want to have fun. I get the letter M, and M did come in that other reading for my client. I think it fits here too as well. It was kind of thrown at me, the letter M, and then she's texting, and she's walking out the door, and she looks nice, and I'm trying to see, I think she may have met him online or something, or talked to him online. I got a reference to Facebook and chatting online, trying to see if he picked her up or if she Ubered there, because there's something about she didn't want him to come to her house, and she wanted to meet in a public place. She also looks stunning, and she got all decked out, but she always liked to look nice, which didn't require much work. I kept seeing her shutting our car door and looking around, and there were lights and music. The lights that move back and forth that are red and blue, and that's loud. And it's loud, and she sees him. He's looking pretty nice. I don't know. She gets like a weird vibe, I think, at first, or does with him in general. But I mean, he's charming and sweet. It seems to be. Before, and he seems like a nice guy. You really don't know about anyone anymore, I guess. Get a reference to being at a concert. I don't know if it was like I hear Latin or I hear Latin America. I don't know if that's a sort of crowd or music, and I see her kind of dancing, enjoying herself. Keeping her at a distance from him, though. I heard the word handsy, and she pushes him off, and then when he tries put his hand on her waist, and she's not feeling it. She thought she was hot, kind of, but there's something about him. She got like a creepy vibe. I get a reference to kind of tipsy or woozy, and I see him when he buys her a drink or a beer. I don't know, some sort of drink, and at that time I see something dropping in it, and it's fizzy. And she drinks, and she says she doesn't feel good and she wants to go home. He states he'll take her home, and they're standing at what looks like his car. It's a dark color. It's a dark outside. It's hard to tell. Red came in Brittany. I think that may fit here, but he also does have a black car, from what we understand. Because remember, after I do these readings, we do look into things. So, or my group does. So I can see lights hit off of it. So then it's dark, and I see her knees kind of buckle a bit, and his car seems like it's out of the way from the concert. No one's really around, because I feel like the concert may be going on, or people are mingling, and I see them alone, and basically she passes out in the back seat, and I think it might be a 4-door, and I see her pass out in the back, and I see him get in the front and take off. A spot he knows, a place he knows. I get street lights as I pass by. I feel like I'm going to a remote type area. I see like a river, creek nearby, or you pass it, or it's in the area. There's red sand, so I don't know if you pass it, but she's not in the red sand, it's just like you pass it though. But I get a reference to 30 minutes or so. I don't know if it's like 15 minutes each way or it's actually 30 minutes, but an estimate. And I feel like it's an area you either pass water or near water, or an area where water accumulates, and there's trees and stuff next to red sand, but in the distance, if that makes sense, kind of a desert feel, with trees, but not in the red sands. It's a spot that he knows well. I got like Lover's Lane. I don't know if it just made sense to him, or honestly, I'm not really sure, but he wanted her, she didn't want him. I see him get in the back and kind of ends up his pants, and I see her wake up groggy, and she's pushing on him, and he's holding her down, and he slaps her, and then I get like, be quiet, biatch, and I see her fighting and kicking, and somehow kicks him off. At this point in time, I always forget to do this, but I have to say innocent until proven guilty. So, I got to do that. I have to say that, even if we might not feel that way. So, anyways, back to the reading. So, So somehow she kicks him off, and then she takes off, but it's sort of rocky, and he's faster, and she's missing shoes, and I don't know if she's barefoot at the time, but I felt bare feet, and then he tackles her, and I get a reference to her chest and feel like pounding, and there could be a reference to stabbing, I'm not sure, but I thinking so, because that also comes in her sim text I had somebody do. I felt hands around my throat as well, also a reference to rape, trying to rape. Sorry, I apologize to the family. I did work with the family, and I am working with the family, but I feel like we need to kind of get this out so we can get maybe people that know the area or can help us figure out an area better. I feel anger from him, like he lost it. I get pain in my chest. He describes his black hair, Spanish descent, get the letter R. His hair is sort of like slick, or he wipes it back and touches it with his hands after he's done, like to fix it a bit, kind of narcissistically. I see him wash off in either a creek or somewhere where water accumulates. It's not fast moving. I see sort of him drag her over to a tree line cover with branches and something like that. I could still see her feet. And there's a place you could drive up to. The road is a bit curvy, dirt, because I can see tires on the dirt, seem dusty. I keep wanting to say Lover's Lane, or an area that's known that, or called that, or near that way, or past that way. So maybe a reference, but at the same time, this place is desolate, like feels that way, lone highway. If you're standing looking at Red Sands, this is like opposite. She's not at the Red Sands, and I kept getting like west, so I think west. There was a reference to H and a reference to J, and she's saying it was the last person to see her and that he's a liar. And I keep getting gems or jewels, and she's got them in her hand and she's moving them, and they're shiny, and the M is really big, and I get a reference to K as well. And I think you may cross some type of bridge or overpass on the way there. I heard the word search is in the wrong area. I hear further out, further to my left if I'm looking down, I think west, and I guess I want to go in the direction down. The way they were showing me in my head was very confusing on a map. I'm not great at directions, but I think it went down, and I still thought like in El Paso. I heard the word Jefferson, trying to think. She's strong, but directions were a bit hard. I got reference to number 25 and 46, also the number 7, again, which we were in July, so it could be that, or multiple meanings, could be something else. I know she went missing the 13th, but I heard 13, and then it goes to 14. And so it was like midnight or just into the 14th. So both dates like 12 to 1 kind of time frame, like just turned the 14th. And then 14 also came in Jen, so I'm wondering now. She takes me barely to the next day. As the time of her passing definitely gets dark, I see stars and moon through the trees, and as I'm talking, the front of my throat is hurting. She's barefoot. I think her shoes are thrown or something like that. Like maybe you see the shoes before her, or there's something to do with her shoes. I kept getting the road is windy. I kept being on a windy dirt road, and I would take a left, and then you take a left and you could pull up to the water. The water isn't that far. I got the reference to the word crystal. That could belong to Susan as well. Or it may fit here. Interconnect means it could fit either or both. And she's flashing spattered colors at me, like paint, like splattered paint. And she was shaking her head like, I don't know how this happened. So nice, so charming. Also her phone, I don't know if he threw it or what, but there's something with her phone. And she has such a light and such a magnetism. And I wish people would quit focusing on the negative. It irritates me when the victims, they start focusing on all the things that they've done in their life. You know, it's ridiculous. Let's just focus on finding her. That's the whole point of this, is to find the missing, not to focus on what they've done that's wrong. I mean, we've all made mistakes. Sorry, rant over. So I think we want to go like right or opposite of the Red Sands. She's not at the Red Sands, but I think you may pass it. I kept seeing a devil horn, so I don't know if that's talking about who he was or if there's some kind of symbolism. That came in Jen, so I do think it fits for Jen's as well. I hear the word holly, Holly, or Hollie. Among the gem is a red ruby. I have no idea, but she's making it more prevalent, which we got that in Mackenzie. So that's why I think Mackenzie may interconnect here. She's moving around with her fingers. I hear some Spanish words. There may be some Spanish words I can't make out or something around there. There's the song El Paso in my head again, and the West sticks out to me, and then the song How Felina Would Whirl. How Felina Would Whirl, I think, that's like how she got attention. She gained attention easily, and she shows me whistles and hollers. The guy, he wanted what he couldn't have. I think he's roofied girls before. I'm not sure if he's ever gone this far enough yet. Possible. Again, I see it so clear, but you know, it's harder to find on a map. R is really big. For some reason, I hear Rosita or something like that. I know the cousin's names start with an M, but M could have multiple meanings. Also hear the word Guthrie. Also silver. Hot Rod may fit here from Jen, as well as ATVs and Carpenter from Jen's as well as Caitlin's. And the Caitlin's is in the group. I didn't release it. Carpenter also came back in Molly. So that's all the reading for the very first one. I'm going to make 3 separate videos for 3 different readings just because I want to separate them for some reason. And I think it'll help on the views and whatnot. So that's the first one for Eryka. I will be back with the second one. Thank you very much.